Hi folks, welcome to POF Mentor. In today's learning session, we are going to learn about what is purchase requisition. So let's try to understand purchase requisition both from the business context and in the context of SAP. Before getting into the details, let's try to understand the standard business definition, the standard definition for purchase requisition. A purchase requisition in SAP is an internal document that a department within an organization creates to request the procurement of goods or services. The purchase requisition is the first step in the procurement process and serves as a formal request for the purchasing department to initiate the purchase order. So this is the standard definition. So now let's try to understand this with an example, right? Let's take a company XYZ who are involved in selling product to the customers. Okay, so in order to sell that product to the customers, they should source that product, right? So the sourcing of the product can be done in two ways. They can either buy the raw materials in order to make that product, procure the raw materials, then assemble it into a finished product and sell it to the customer. So they can either take this route, or they can directly buy that finished product in wholesale from a supplier or vendor and sell it to the retail customers. So these are the two routes using which the company can buy a product and sell that product to the customer. In order to do this, right, in order to buy the materials, the raw materials or the finished product from the supplier, they need to create a purchase order. Before we create a purchase order to the supplier or the vendor, first we need to do some checks within the organization, after which only we can raise the purchase order to the supplier or vendor. So in order to make all these checks within the organization, we create a purchase requisition within the organization. So that's what they say as like internal document, a department within the organization creates a request. So this is an internal document within the organization. Associate might make a request to the purchasing department saying, so these are the materials I want to buy and these are the quantity of these materials. So once this request go to the purchasing department, they will review this particular purchase requisition and see, if the vendor is the ideal. They'll try to figure out what vendor can supply these products at a very competitive price. They do all those checks and they finally approve that request. Okay, once the request is approved, once the PR is completed, then second request will be initiated to that particular supplier, which we call it as the purchase order. So purchase requisition is the first step. Following that, we create a purchase order to the vendor or the supplier. Okay, so now when it comes to SAP, so I think you understood the business context, right? Now let's try to understand how we can create this request in a project that uses SAP. So this can be done directly using the SAP GUI thick client portal, or it could be done externally through some other system, right? Ariba or some other system. They can create this purchase requisition and pass it on to the SAP. Okay, so either they can do it internally or externally. And internally means within the SAP, right? So within the SAP itself, like we can access the SAP in two ways. One, through the thick client, that's the SAP GUI portal, and the other way through which we can access the SAP is through the Fiori app. That's something that happens over the internet. Through the browser, you can hit the endpoint Fiori URL, log into the Fiori. There will be some Fiori tiles, right? We call it as tiles. So we can open the tile that is used for creating the purchase requisition and fill in all the details and make a request. So if you're using the thick client, we use the TCode Me51N in order to create the purchase requisition. If it's Fiori, it's just some easily understandable time name. You have to click, enter the details and save. So it's a very simple, direct process. And when it comes to the external means of creating this purchase requisition, right? So that's usually done by Ariba or some other system which is integrated with the SAP. So they build all this detailed forms and submit it to the SAP, and SAP internally will create this purchase requisition. So that's how it is done both internally and externally. Hope this session was useful and hope you're able to understand what is purchase requisition. Thanks for listening, and if you're someone who wants to learn more about SAP performance testing, or you're into SAP performance testing and need some help to understand that holistic overview picture, feel free to reach out to me. Thank you. Bye.